Former Hawkeye women's basketball coach Lisa Bluder spent Monday evening in central Iowa.
Lisa Bluder sat frozen in the interview room. 17 agonizing seconds of silence. The question seemed simple enough. What was Caitlin Clark's legacy at the University of Iowa? But what came out of Bluder's mouth next shocked everyone in attendance. Caitlin was impossible to coach. The former Hawkeye women's basketball coach let those words hang in the air. Not because Clark was arrogant. Not because she lacked discipline, but for a reason that would completely rewrite everything we thought we knew about greatness. For 24 years, Bluder had built dynasties, molded future stars, and conquered every coaching challenge thrown her way. Yet 4 years with Clark shattered every rule she'd ever believed in. Behind those sold-out arenas and record-breaking performances existed a truth so raw and unexpected that Bluder kept it buried until now. What happened in those closed-door practices? What did Clark say during a crucial timeout that changed Bluder's entire career?
Head coach Lisa Bluder had a front-row seat for Clark's record-breaking career. Lisa knew Caitlin would be special.
Stay with us as we uncover the real story Iowa never told you. Before we dive deeper into this incredible journey, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our exclusive basketball content. Drop a like if you're ready to discover what really happened behind the scenes during the Caitlin Clark era. The girl from Dowling Catholic High School had a dream. Notre Dame. Every Catholic family's aspiration. It was Caitlin Clark's dream too. She sat down with her parents and made the decision. Her family wanted this for her. She gave her commitment to Muffet McGraw, a coaching legend. Everything was set. She was going to wear the Fighting Irish uniform and play for one of the most prestigious programs in college basketball. But then something felt terribly wrong. Caitlin couldn't sleep at night. Her mind raced with doubts. Something wasn't sitting right in her gut. Her heart was saying one thing, her mind completely another. The family wanted Notre Dame. She loved the movie Rudy. They were Catholic, and everyone in their community idolized Notre Dame. That's just what you did if you had the chance. But deep inside, her heart kept screaming that this decision was wrong. Just a few hours away from Des Moines was the University of Iowa. There was Lisa Bluder, a coach who had already developed players like Megan Gustafson and sent them to the WNBA. She'd won Naismith Coach of the Year in 2019. She'd been at Iowa for 24 years with 528 wins already under her belt. But nobody expected what happened next. Actually, Caitlin's real dream school was UConn. She wanted to play for Gino Auriemma, the legendary coach who had built a dynasty in stores. But Auriemma didn't offer her a scholarship. They were already committed to Paige Buchers, another generational talent.
So you get your win. Let's just assume that maybe your team is watching this from the locker room right now, Coach.
It was heartbreaking for Caitlin at the time, but sometimes in life, rejections become the greatest blessings in disguise. The decision to decommit from Notre Dame was excruciating. She had to call Muffet McGraw and tell a legendary coach, "Sorry, I'm not coming." Caitlin later admitted she was terrified. McGraw was an intimidating figure in women's basketball. Caitlin remembers sweating in her bed, absolutely dreading making that phone call. But McGraw understood. She'd seen the confusion in Caitlin's eyes during their interactions. Great coaches recognize when a player's heart isn't fully committed. McGraw accepted the decision gracefully, showing the class that defined her legendary career. Then Caitlin called Lisa Bluder. That phone call changed everything. Bluder will never forget which table they were sitting at in the restaurant, which meal they were eating. She remembers every single detail because that one phone call altered the entire trajectory of Iowa basketball. Bluder and her husband Dave were having dinner when her phone rang. She looked at the caller ID and saw it was Caitlin. She told Dave to hold on. She needed to step outside for this call. Standing in the parking lot, she heard Caitlin's nervous voice ask the question, "Coach, is there still a spot for me? Do you still want me to come to Iowa?" Bluder tried to control the flood of emotions rushing through her. She kept her voice professional and steady. "Absolutely," she replied. Inside, though, a river of excitement was flowing. She walked back into the restaurant, told her husband the news, and they immediately ordered a bottle of champagne to celebrate. But Bluder had absolutely no idea that this girl, and this decision would become the biggest test of her 40-year coaching career. The transition from high school superstar to college player is brutal for most athletes. For Caitlin, it revealed something fundamental about how she approached the game. At Dowling Catholic, Caitlin was literally a one-woman show. She carried every single game on her shoulders. Every crucial shot belonged to her. Every important possession ran through her hands. She was the AP Gatorade Player of the Year. She'd always been the absolute center of attention, the star everyone relied on.
Clark's dad, Brent, knew his daughter as early as 4 years old had a special skill.
College basketball operates differently. You need teamwork. You need to trust your teammates. You need to understand that basketball is a collective effort, not an individual showcase. This was what Caitlin had to learn, and it wouldn't be easy. Bluder saw the challenge from day one. During the very first summer practice, Caitlin played incredibly well. So well that Bluder pulled Caitlin's dad Brent aside at a golf fundraising event and told him how impressed she was. Brent Clark had known since his daughter was 4 years old that she possessed a special skill. When he told Caitlin what Coach Bluder said, she felt proud. But being special and being a team player are two completely different things. There was a Michael Jordan-like quality in Caitlin. She didn't trust her teammates. She needed freedom to operate, but she also needed to learn boundaries and how to elevate those around her. This was where the Real story begins. Practice sessions at Iowa were intense. Student managers would referee scrimmages, and honestly, they weren't particularly good at it. One day during practice, Caitlin was playing against the second-string squad, what they called the Blue Squad. A terrible call was made. Caitlin got heated. Emotions exploded. She started beefing with the Blue Squad players. Lisa Bluder watched from the sideline, recognizing she needed to control the situation immediately. She did something that shocked everyone in the gym. She kicked Caitlin Clark out of practice. Right now, get out. Years later, on the Fresh Talk podcast with Jada Jayamfi, Caitlin shared this story while laughing. Kate Martin and Gabby Marshall were there too, everyone cracking up at the memory. When asked why she got kicked out, Caitlin honestly admits it was because she would get into arguments with the practice squad. But this wasn't a permanent banishment. After cooling off for a few minutes, she'd come back in for the next drill. Bluder understood this was passion, not disrespect. It needed to be managed and channeled, not crushed completely. Gabby Marshall and Kate Martin explained that Caitlin simply hates losing more than almost anything. That competitive fire drove every argument, every heated moment. But this was just the beginning of Bluder's unconventional coaching methods. Sometimes Caitlin would get so intense during practice that officials brought in to observe were actually scared to give her technical fouls. After all, this was the star player, the face of the program. How do you call a technical on her? So Lisa Bluder would call the technical herself from the bench. Yes, you heard that correctly. The head coach would give her own star player a technical foul during practice. In March 2024, before a Sweet 16 game, reporters asked Bluder about Caitlin's competitive nature. She spoke openly and honestly about it. "Man, I've given her technical fouls in practice," Bluder said with a slight smile. The same emotion she plays with in games, all that passion, those highs and lows, it's exactly the same in practice. When officials come to observe our practices and don't want to call technicals on our star player, I'll do it from the bench myself. I think we need to help her maintain her composure, and if they won't do it, I will. Caitlin's response when asked about this? She smiled and said that hasn't happened in a while. Her teammates laughed because everyone knew exactly when and how often this used to occur. But this stubbornness wasn't limited to the basketball court. In interviews, Bluder herself admitted the hardest thing about coaching Caitlin was that sometimes she could be a little stubborn, and I can be too, so it gets tricky sometimes. But Bluder possessed the emotional intelligence to understand where this stubbornness originated. The transformation from high school to college was incredibly difficult for Caitlin. The hardest thing was learning how to play with teammates, because in high school, she did literally everything on her own. At Dowling Catholic, every crucial moment belonged to Caitlin. Teammates obviously contributed, but the main responsibility always fell on her shoulders. In college, this had to change dramatically. Monica Chinano was a dominant post player who needed touches. Kate Martin was a versatile forward who could score and facilitate. Gabby Marshall was a sharp shooting guard. McKenna Warnock contributed important minutes. All of them needed to be involved for Iowa to reach its potential. But Caitlin's brain was wired with that Michael Jordan mentality. "I'll do it. I'll handle everything. I'll carry this team on my back." So what did Bluder do? She pulled out Phil Jackson's book Sacred Hoops, the same book Jackson used to manage Michael Jordan's genius and stubbornness with the Chicago Bulls. Bluder gave Caitlin highlighted passages from the book. She showed her that MJ struggled with the exact same issues. He also didn't trust his teammates initially. He also thought these guys don't work as hard as I do. He also wanted every crucial possession in his hands. But here's what made Caitlin different. Along with that stubbornness came a genuine willingness to learn. She was stubborn, absolutely, but she desperately wanted to be her best. So she absorbed every piece of feedback, followed every instruction, implemented every lesson. The good thing is that she was always willing to learn, and she wanted to be her best, so she would take the coaching, Bluder explained. This was the delicate balance Bluder had to navigate every single day. On one side was pure basketball genius. On the other side was stubborn independence. Balancing both became the impossible part of the job. That competitive nature had been there since early childhood. Caitlin herself admits that all she wanted to do was win. No matter if it was a board game, a card game, or really anything else. I was just going to do whatever it took to win. She even got kicked out of physical education class because she was too competitive. Growing up with brothers, playing on boys' teams until 6th grade, all of this fueled her competitive fire even more. But in college, this intensity had to be controlled and channeled properly. Bluder was slowly teaching her that passion is essential, but composure is equally important. Keep the fire burning, but keep it controlled. Those technical fouls she received in practice were actually blessings in disguise. Game officials show no mercy regardless of who you are. In the 2023 NCAA championship game against LSU, Caitlin got a real technical foul at the worst possible time. She'd already picked up her 4th personal foul and had to sit on the bench during a crucial stretch. Lead official Lisa Jones explained afterward that after a delay of game warning, Caitlin didn't give the ball to the official properly and received a technical. It was a game-changing moment that Iowa couldn't overcome. Bluder was frustrated that day, visibly upset on the sideline. But she knew this was part of the learning curve, part of the growth process. Slowly but surely, Caitlin was learning composure and emotional control. The question remained, though. How do you coach a player who sees the game so fast that your playbook feels slow? Whose instincts are more accurate than your carefully drawn-up plays? Whose passion is so intense that sometimes it overflows and affects everything around her? The answer required patience, deep understanding, and consistent tough love. But the biggest challenge was still waiting around the corner. When one star shines brighter than the sun, what happens to everyone else in the orbit? Sold-out arenas everywhere Iowa traveled. Major brand deals with Nike and Gatorade. Millions of social media followers. Caitlin Clark's name was everywhere you looked. ESPN, Sports Illustrated, every major media outlet. But what were the other teammates thinking in that locker room? What were they feeling when Caitlin got all the attention, all the headlines, all the recognition? Bluder revealed something in an interview that shocked people. You can't ignore it. If you ignore it, you're going to get yourself in serious trouble. She was talking about jealousy. This is the poison that can destroy any team, no matter how talented. When one player becomes so famous that everyone else disappears into the shadow, that's when real problems emerge. So what did Lisa Bluder tell the team? She held a meeting and laid it out plainly. We told our team repeatedly, when Caitlin's light shines bright, it shines on all of us. We all benefit from her success. So instead of being jealous or resentful, enjoy it. Embrace it. This was a genius psychological move. She had to get the entire team to buy into this philosophy. She had to make them understand that setting aside individual goals meant greater collective benefit for everyone. Kate Martin, Gabby Marshall, and Monica Chinano all understood eventually. Because of Caitlin's stardom, their exposure also increased dramatically. Iowa basketball got put on the national map. Arenas started selling out game after game. Recruits wanted to come to Iowa City. But achieving this team harmony wasn't easy or automatic. Bluder had to show Caitlin video of herself. Caitlin is incredibly passionate, which is wonderful, but sometimes her bench behavior or reactions could negatively affect team morale. When you show her video evidence, she understands. She can see what message her body language sends to teammates. Caitlin was learning gradually, evolving into a true leader. Bluder started holding weekly one-on-one meetings with Caitlin. She gave her leadership books to read beyond just Phil Jackson. Sacred Hoops became like a Bible for understanding how to channel individual genius into team success. This book was truly a game changer because the parallels between Caitlin and Michael Jordan were remarkable. Both took enormous pressure on themselves. Neither trusted teammates easily. Both were heavily affected by media criticism and outside noise. Bluder gave Caitlin specific highlighted passages from the book. She showed her exactly how MJ handled all these pressures, how he eventually became a team player, how he converted his individual genius into team success and 6 championships. Bluder also implemented something called Circle Time, where players and coaches would gather, share their feelings, and genuinely connect as human beings. As Caitlin started opening up more, the team grew closer. The culture shifted. Trust developed. Tournament time brings pressure unlike anything else in sports. Every single possession carries enormous weight. Bluder noticed something concerning. Caitlin was watching game film late at night. The same possessions over and over and over. She hadn't slept properly for 3 days straight, obsessively trying to find the perfect solution to every defensive scheme. This was the perfectionism slowly eating Caitlin from the inside out. In games, she would get even more intense because of this self-imposed pressure. Remember the 2023 NCAA championship game against LSU? Caitlin picked up that technical foul and her fourth personal foul. The game was incredibly tight. Bluder was frustrated afterward, speaking bluntly to the media. "It's very frustrating because I feel like I can't even talk to her sometimes. She doesn't listen when emotions take over. When you have two seniors sitting on the bench, she doesn't realize these are seniors who've given everything to this program. These women didn't deserve that moment." Monica Chinano and McKenna Warnock both fouled out. The championship slipped away. But the biggest pain wasn't felt by Bluder or the other players. It was Caitlin herself. She thought, "I didn't carry the team when they needed me most. I should have been more perfect." Bluder understood immediately that this pressure wasn't sustainable long term. Nobody can carry that psychological burden indefinitely. So she did something strange, something that went completely against every coaching manual ever written. She gave Caitlin explicit permission to fail. "Caitlin, I'm giving you permission to fail. Not just in practice, but in games too. You need to be average sometimes because what you're doing to yourself isn't sustainable. You're going to break." Caitlin's reaction was shock, confusion, even fear. "Coach, you don't understand," she replied. "If I stop pushing even for a second, I'm afraid I'll never get back to that place. That space where everything makes sense on the court. That's my home. Without it, I'm just a girl who shoots basketballs." This was a raw confession. Honest, vulnerable, and heartbreaking. Bluder looked her star player in the eyes and said something profound. "Your home isn't in that extraordinary space, Caitlin. Your home is here with us, with this team. Because legends don't live in the extraordinary. They visit there and come back with souvenirs to share." The next season, Caitlin changed in subtle but important ways. During tournament games, she would sometimes deliberately make simple passes instead of forcing difficult shots. She'd take average shots and let teammates shine in crucial moments. And a strange thing happened. The more she let go of perfection, the more dominant she actually became. Against South Carolina, widely considered the best defense in all of college basketball, Iowa scored 77 points. Bluder barely called any plays during that game. She just kept repeating the same mantra. "Read it, feel it, trust it, let the game come to you." Caitlin had told Bluder something remarkable before that tournament started. "Coach, I've been keeping track. In the last 17 games, whenever you've called a timeout and said absolutely nothing, just looked at me. In the next 3 minutes, we've outscored opponents 47-19. This isn't a coincidence. This is what freedom looks like." This was the beautiful paradox that Bluder had discovered. The less structure she imposed, the more dominant Caitlin became. The less traditional coaching she provided, the better the performance. Sometimes the best coaching is knowing when to step back completely. 2 national championship games in consecutive years, 2023 and 2024. Lost the first year to South Carolina. Lost the second year to South Carolina again. But what Caitlin and Bluder built together was so much bigger than championship hardware. 3,951 points. The most in NCAA history, surpassing Pete Maravich's legendary mark that stood for decades. Arenas started selling out everywhere Iowa played. Record-breaking television viewership. A new golden era of women's basketball was born. But Bluder insists it's not the statistics that matter most. Caitlin was impossible to coach because she didn't need to be taught basketball. She needed to be reminded constantly that she's still a human being playing it. And sometimes the biggest job of a coach isn't coaching at all. It's just standing there and reminding them that the impossible thing they've become is still worthy of love, still deserving of grace. In May 2024, Bluder announced her retirement after an incredible career. 24 years at Iowa, a 528 and 254 record, the most wins in Big Ten history, 18 NCAA tournament appearances. Caitlin wrote on social media, "Simply no one better at building a team. Thank you for believing in me more than anyone. Enjoy retirement, coach. Very much deserved." Jan Jensen, who had been with Bluder for over 20 years as an assistant coach, took over as head coach. Continuity remained in the Iowa program, but the story of Caitlin and Bluder didn't end with retirement. In November 2024, both women met at Carver Hawkeye Arena and took a photo together. A couple of Hawkeye legends reunited. Then in February 2025, on the perfectly fitting date of 2/2, Caitlin's jersey was officially retired. Number 22 rose into the rafters. Bluder sat in the arena with tears streaming down her face. This wasn't just a jersey hanging in the rafters. It was a memory of an incredible journey. It represented 4 years of growth, struggle, triumph, and transformation. Bluder recently received the Joe Lapchick Character Award, recognition for sportsmanship, ethics, and unwavering commitment to student athletes. 894 wins in a 40-year coaching career, third among active coaches when she retired. But when anyone asks Bluder about Caitlin, she doesn't talk statistics or records. She talks about that young woman who got scared of her own greatness, who sometimes forgot who she was without basketball, who thought every sacrifice made her somehow incomplete as a person. I didn't just coach her, Bluder says quietly. I saved her. And in the process, I learned that impossible players need exactly 3 things: grace when they stumble, permission to be human, and someone to catch them when they finally let themselves fall. Caitlin is now thriving in the WNBA with the Indiana Fever. She won Rookie of the Year. She took the franchise to the playoffs for the first time since 2016. But she still calls Bluder regularly for advice and support. The coach-player relationship doesn't end when someone graduates. It evolves into something deeper, something that lasts forever. Sitting in a restaurant after all these years, Lisa Bluder sometimes thinks about that pivotal moment. What if that phone call from Caitlin had never come? What if Caitlin had stayed committed to Notre Dame? What if she hadn't ordered that bottle of champagne that night to celebrate? What if she hadn't given Caitlin the freedom to become who she truly was? History would have been completely different. Iowa's name wouldn't be on the national map. The explosion of women's basketball popularity might not have happened, and a young woman might never have fully understood herself or reached her incredible potential. But all of this did happen because a coach did something far bigger than traditional coaching. She taught a player the most important lesson. Trust yourself, love yourself, be yourself. Before you go, make sure to smash that like button if this story moved you. Drop a comment below telling us your favorite Caitlin Clark moment or what you learned from this incredible coach-player relationship. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into the stories behind basketball's greatest moments. Share this video with every basketball fan who needs to understand what true coaching really means. Impossible players exist in every sport, every generation. They're impossible not because they're difficult or arrogant. They're impossible because they need something textbooks don't teach and coaching clinics don't cover. They need someone willing to catch them when they're falling. Someone brave enough to remind them that greatness and humanity aren't opposites, they're partners. Someone wise enough to give them permission to fail so they can finally, truly succeed. This was the unforgettable story of Lisa Bluder and Caitlin Clark. Impossible, inspiring, and forever etched in basketball history.